99% certain that you have MS, and if I'm right, there's nothing you can do.
Hold on, hold the phone, hold on.
Yeah.
It was that sudden? You had no issues prior? You were like 100% fine and then you weren't?
100% fine, and then I wasn't. It just came on, get ready for her to spend her life in a wheelchair. She said, Palmer, why do you think you got the MS? And within a month, I stopped having MS symptoms ever again. I have 0 symptoms. I play competitive pickleball, never felt better, healthier, stronger. That hope is real. Healing is possible.
I'm not in my office today, but I wanted to make sure to record this intro because this was a good episode. This is the Medical Disruptor. This isn't a podcast for beginners. It's for the woman who's done her research, tracked her symptoms, and asked all the right questions, and still got handed a shrug, a prescription, or a pat in the head. Every guest on my show is handpicked. MDs, NPs, PAs, researchers who walked away from the system that told them this is the best we can do because they know it wasn't true. So if you ever walked out of an appointment thinking, is this it? Then you're in the right place. I'm Dr. E, the NP with a PhD, and I'm committed to making sure you never experience medical gaslighting again. Because here's the truth. When you've been told the same story long enough, you start to believe it. This show is here to help you challenge your own medical beliefs, especially the ones that were never really yours to begin with. And today's guest is living proof that a diagnosis isn't a destiny. At 19, Palmer Kippola was told she had multiple sclerosis and that there was nothing she can do. No cure, no control, no hope. That was in 1984. And yet today, she's symptom-free, vibrant, and teaching thousands how to do the same. In this episode, we go deep into what the doctors missed, how trauma set the stage for disease, and why calming your nervous system might just be the most powerful medicine you have. If you've ever been told there's nothing you can do, buckle up. Palmer didn't just heal, she disrupted everything we thought we knew about autoimmune disease.
Today's guest, Palmer Kippola. You kind of heard a little bit in the intro about what we're about, but it's going to get wild. I can already tell just by our pre-interview vibes. Palmer, tell us how you came over to the dark side.
Gotta take you back a few years in time.
We love that.
Starts with a story. I was 19 years old. I was home from college after my freshman year, working a summer job, and one morning I woke up and the soles of my feet were all tingling, that sensation like you slept on a limb. And then when you get off, the blood flows back and it's all tingly. Only this morning the blood didn't flow back. I shook my leg, thought it would just go away. So off I went to my job. Tingling didn't go away. And by noon, it had crept up my leg like a vine, and I knew something was really wrong. So I called my mom and dad, who called the family doctors, who said, get her over to UCLA today to the neurologist. So that's what we did. The 3 of us sat in that neurologist's office, and she did a super cursory exam, and she pronounced, I'm 99% certain that you have MS, and if I'm right, there's nothing you can do.
Hold on, hold the phone, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on, we're only on the first part of the story, and I have to interrupt.
You must.
I must. So, besides the fact that there's nothing you can do, we're just going to ignore that for a second. Was that sudden? You had no issues prior? You were like 100% fine and then you weren't?
100% fine, and then I wasn't. And I studied this, and I've pondered and puzzled this, and I've had a lot of illnesses growing up, a lot of colds, but I didn't have inklings like people remember having brain fog or a little numbness or a little tingly or some eye problems. It just came on.
No concussions before, no exposures to anything. Totally normal childhood, no crazy stressors, no crazy accidents, no crazy viruses.
Oh, we can talk about all kinds of crazy stuff, and we're going to, because there's a whole bunch of crazy
all right,
stuff.
so we'll do that after.
Yeah.
Okay,
but things had been building that were contributors to the MS, so it was no surprise in hindsight that at age 19.
But to stay with the chronology, I'm fine, and then I'm not the next day, and I get a diagnosis. Okay.
Yes.
I'm in.
So remember, this is 1984. And
people don't know what it's like before the internet.
First of all, there's no internet. Second of all, no one's ever heard of an autoimmune condition. Nobody knew that MS was an autoimmune condition.
No.
Never heard of MS, multiple sclerosis, for those of you who don't know. And we left that office with very little information, very little hope. And years later, Dr. E, I was told, she took my parents aside and said, get ready for her to spend her life in a wheelchair, because that's where she's heading.
Oh my God.
So that was like one day I am a happy-go-lucky teenager working a summer job, and the next day I'm wondering if my parents are going to have to take care of me.
Hello, when is the movie coming out?
Right. So it's a long story, but I want to give you I want to give you the parts that are important that people can really resonate with. That night we went home and the tingling had crept under my collarbones here.
Scary.
My mom crawled into bed with me and she was holding me and crying, and I was crying harder because by this time every part of my body that had been tingling went completely numb, and I stayed fully numb for 6 weeks. So we had no idea what this was. There was no expectations for how long this would last. Would it be forever? The best I could do was lie on the couch. So that's what I did that summer and watched the Summer Olympics, which happened to be in LA. And I was enormously grateful to my parents, who were rocks, and to friends who brought by funny movies to watch with me and cookies and people that weren't too scared off. But there are 2 things that happened that summer that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
And the first is a family friend came over and brought me a gift that I didn't realize was a gift for years. And that's because she asked me a question. She said, "Palmer, why do you think you got the MS?" What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Why?
It was from God. It just happened.
Why do I think I got the MS? Are you accusing me? What do you... Oh, my goodness, she left. That question did not leave me. And I'll tell you that question, why, has become my guiding light. And it's what we use in my practice every day to help people figure out why they have the fill in the blank. So that was gift number 1. Because she left, but that question never left me. And I puzzled and pondered and chewed on it like a dog. And then one day, all of a sudden, it came to me. You asked, what did I have in the backstory? I had been adopted at 3 days old. My birth mother was 14 years old, had a traumatic birth. And my dad, loving parents, was a fighter pilot whose way was the right way. And there was a lot of yelling and name calling and judgment. And this was an awful lot for a young person to deal with. So I'm thinking that the reason I got into the MS in the first place was the stress, the amazing, massive amount of stress. So that helped me figure out how I needed to get out of it, was to pursue stress reduction. Because if I get into it with stress, then I need to reduce the stress, right?
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to interrupt for a second, just for those who are listening, because I never know when someone's joining us for the first time or someone's been listening to us forever. And so I just want to level set that Palmer is not saying that anyone with stress is going to be with MS. And I know you're going to get into this, but in case somebody's already rolling their eyes, I just need to say what Palmer is saying is that you might have some genetics, and then something will turn that on. For some people, it's stress, for some people, it's something else. But for you, clearly it was that. And it was just ready to roll. And we'll talk more about epigenetics in a moment.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to foreshadow in case somebody's like, what's this lady talking about?
I'm so glad you did. And there is science behind these adverse childhood experiences, which it just primes your body. It increases your risk factor for these things. So this was my 19-year-old brain intuiting that, being yelled at every day is probably not.
Wow, you think so?
You. So maybe, just maybe, this has something to do with it. So that's one thing that happened that summer that was profound, was getting that question. And the second thing was, actually, my dad was super motivational.
Wow.
So even though he was kind of the villain of the story, which is funny, we can be a lot of different things, and it's important to recognize the complexities of human beings, right? I would lie on that couch, and every day he'd walk by the couch and say, "Honey, you can beat this thing."
Oh, I love him.
Okay. You love him, right? Which is why the book is called Beat Autoimmune. That's a shout out to Dad. So I healed. The tingling and numbness subsided in time for me to go back to my sophomore year. So off I went to college, and a 26-year course of relapsing remitting MS. And over that time, I saw 6 neurologists at leading institutions, each of whom provided the same tired refrain: there is nothing you can do.
Here's some prednisone. Here's some IgG.
Yeah.
Right? Is that anything else? Yeah. No. So any flare up, come to the hospital. We'll fill you up.
That's
come
right.
back down.
Yeah. So I had on the one shoulder, I had the doctors because I was seeing them. Clearly, I had this,
as you should,
big diagnosis. You should. We see specialists. They track them with MRIs. And on the other shoulder, I had my dad saying, "Honey, you can beat this thing." So I just needed to figure out how I was going to do that. And I have to tell you, Dr. E, that I tried just about every stress reduction experiment I could.
Wow.
Every dietary experiment that I could.
Wow.
If the diet had a name, I tried it. I did neurofeedback, biofeedback, you name it. I started meditating in the 90s. I did yoga starting in 1980s. So I really, really began my healing journey at age 19. But it took until I was in my 40s and a stroke of dumb luck to think to myself, just maybe, this gut feeling, this experience that I have after eating, of feeling a little bit of tummy trouble. Not bad, not like run to the bathroom kind of bad, but I'd eat something and then I would feel a little rumbling in my tummy, a little
You're like, this is me. This is normal. This is who I am.
Normal. Everybody feels this. Then I thought, well, I wonder if everybody does feel it. Maybe I should see a nutritionist. Oh, I found a functional medicine nutritionist. She did some tests. Lo and behold, I have non-celiac gluten sensitivity. What does that mean?
Oh my God,
I
does
don't
not exist.
Well,
What's that mean?
I don't have celiac disease, but I am profoundly sensitive to the inflammatory protein found in many grains. And so she led me through this gut healing exercise, take the bad stuff out for, 30 days or so and heal your gut. And it was amazing. The tummy trouble after eating subsided within about 2 weeks. And within a month.
Okay, quick break. If this episode is hitting home, just ask yourself this. Are you gaslighting yourself without even realizing it? I made a free guide called Self-Gaslighting Habits to Watch For. So if you're constantly second-guessing yourself in the exam room, this is your starting point. Check out the link in the description. Now let's get back to it.
I stopped having MS symptoms ever again. Now, I want to be really clear and really quick to say this, because this is where people are really going to roll their eyes. Oh my goodness, she had MS and just removed gluten. Well, I removed gluten and that didn't happen for me.
Right.
And so what I want to tell you is I get it. Your root causes may not look like mine. And I was in sales and marketing for many, many years in the corporate world. And after I healed, I decided to quit my job to study this full time, to see how in the world is it possible. I'm not talking about the remission. Remission to me just means it's lurking in the background, waiting to spring forward, right? What I do want to say is that epigenetically, we now have the power to switch off the expression of disease. So I am very clear that I will always have the genes for the MS.
Yes.
So I want to say that because we have far more power than we know to switch those things off. And the devil's in the details.
Yes.
That's the story.
This is so important. I know there's more. I know there's more coming for you. But I like to just I have so many things to say. First, the stomach thing while you take a sip is so funny because the reason I got into this, I don't know if you had a chance to look into it, but is because of my wife. My wife has 2 autoimmune issues. And so, again, pre-internet days, some crazy person told us to go on some crazy diet, severe eye roll. This is not going to work. And as a supportive wife, I was like, I'll just do this with you. I have no issues. I'll just do this with you. And after a week, I was like, wait, my stomach's not supposed to hurt after every meal because I really never complained about it. I just assumed that's how digestion works.
That's how it is.
That's how it is. And then I was like, oh my God, my knees are not supposed to hurt all the time. Like I never thought it was pain because I've always had it. So it's a really interesting point that you say when we also tend to normalize things. And not only do we normalize things in general as women, but you already had something so much worse. So you're like, well, this is nothing. I can get through any of it, right? So like you really just downplay. That's the first thing I want to say is like mostly ladies and gentlemen, but ladies, stop downplaying stuff. Like stop. We don't need to be silenced. We should feel okay. But the second thing is this idea of epigenetics, right? There are some genes that we're born with, brown eyes, blue eyes. It is what it is. We're not going to change it. But there are some genes that we have the potential to. And the way I like to explain to my patients is like diabetes. Great, grandma has diabetes, your mom has diabetes. That doesn't mean you're going to get diabetes unless you eat the sugar. You don't eat the sugar, you're not going to express that gene. You don't automatically get it. And for some reason, everyone's like, yes, this makes sense. But as soon as we talk about another disease, it suddenly doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But it's like we already have that logic built in. What are we doing? So I'm loving this. Okay, so you go gluten-free and your life comes back.
Yeah.
Do you also have to mitigate stress?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I have a hypothesis that had I not been doing the daily meditation and the biofeedback and the neurofeedback and all the things that I was doing, the yoga, that I might not have had the experience, the beautiful experience that I did just by removing the gluten. But this is where I think it would be helpful. There is a concept of a toxin bucket I like to describe.
Okay.
And if I may, I think this is a good place to bring it in, because I think that people can kind of get that we all contain within us a bucket, if you will. And the top of the bucket is the mouth. The bottom, we got some holes. We're supposed to be able to excrete things out the bottom. But the problem comes when we have too many things coming in the bucket and not enough going out. I mean, it's oversimplistic. I get it.
Oh, it's perfect. I love simplicity.
But here's the thing. Like my bucket, I was born with this very, very small bucket. I've got all the genetic SNPs for those single, you know what they stand for, nucleopeptide, the things that make it difficult to detox. Right? Yeah. I've got a vitamin D receptor thingy. I've got the COMT. I've got the MTHFR. All of those acronyms that you hear about that make me a bad detoxifier. So my bucket's smaller. But what was in my bucket? Well, it started out in utero. A lot of stress. Imagine a 14-year-old girl who's pregnant and can't keep the baby. There's a little stress there.
Yeah.
I know that I had a forceps birth. Little difficulty there.
Wow. Come
out, have a lot of conflict at home. So we've got the adverse childhood experiences going on. My first picture, one of my first pictures is of me in a high chair with my arm in a box of Cheerios. So the gluten started with every meal.
Of course.
Baby formula, the gluten.
Of course.
The peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and then the pizza later on, the beer. So that was what was going on there. But the unsweetened cereal wasn't sweet enough, so I layered on the white table.
Of course.
Spoons of white sugar.
As you should. On top, I used to do them with cornflakes, of course.
There you go. Right. I had like product 19, it would break your teeth, but with the sugar on top, it was palatable. Then that led to the silver fillings, which are 50% mercury, right?
Yes.
So that's a problem. In fact, there's a doctor who claims to have seen 4,000 patients in the UK, and out of 4,000, only 5 of them did not have mercury poisoning. So mercury is a big deal when it comes to neurodegenerative issues like MS. So had a lot of mercury fillings. Not only that, but candida overgrowth. When you start eating sugar like that, you're feeding the bad bugs. But if you're living in a moldy home or taking antibiotics, this is just fuel for candida to grow like weeds. So all of this you can see is just adding into that toxin bucket to the point where it finally just went, it's spilled over the bucket. And so how do we heal? We do the best we can to empty the bucket. But I would contend, because I also have chronic Lyme disease, I have 0 symptoms. I play competitive pickleball. I haven't had a single symptom since 2010. Never felt better, healthier, stronger. I contend it's not about chasing each and every last bug. It is about getting more margin in your toxin bucket.
Okay, hold on. Before we go to how to heal, we have to a little bit unpack what you just said.
Yeah.
Because what you gave is the correct medical history, right? And this is really important. I have something I contend with my clinicians, and I still practice traditional medicine every Monday. The way we're taught in traditional medicine is get the HPI, history of present illness. What happened right now? Why are you here today? I don't care about what happened 5 years ago. Why are you here today? This is what we're taught. It doesn't matter. We're great. You had an accident 5 years ago. It's amazing. Irrelevant. When did your back pain start? 2 days ago? Amazing. It's all that matters. And this is a skill that's honed. And this is how we get to the diagnosis as fast as possible. And it has its place. But when I hear your story, because this is when I had my functional medicine practice, this is how you take his history from utero. From utero. Not a year ago, not 2 years ago, not childhood, from how you were before you were born. And this is really important because people fail to understand, everyone has this ever since this thing, ever since my divorce, ever since this, ever since that. But you said bucket, I say cup. We're just a cup, and we keep filling and filling and filling and filling until we overflow. Yeah. And it's important, one, any clinician listening, that's the right way to take a history. Two, any patient listening, that's the right way to tell your story. And if your clinician doesn't have the skill set to accept that story, you're in the wrong room.
Yes.
And then to your point, I love what you just said, like you just create margin, because a lot of times what happens with the patients is they want to chase every little thing or the very last thing. Yeah. And it's really just make a little bit more room. Make a little bit more room, we don't have to fix everything. I love that so much. And one last thing I want to say before I give you the floor again is that in essence, I do believe that your order was correct. You fixed the central nervous system first. Had you not fixed the central nervous system first, the gluten would not have helped, which is why people are like, I removed gluten and nothing happened. Yeah, because you're so stressed out. You're still like living a fight or flight mode. So like so much of what you just said was so important. Okay, back to you. You're in here.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that about the nervous system, because I think that people don't take it seriously enough. They want to start with food. They want the easy button. I get it. And I just want to say it is so essential to be in that calm, rest and digest mode, because that's the only place we heal.
Not only am I reinforcing what you said, but I would say, this is what I say, that the evolution of a provider, you can see where they are in their journey, functional medicine provider, is whether or not they understand this piece. If you're still dealing with a functional provider who's like, okay, let's run all the tests and let's do this and let's add a supplement, you're dealing with someone who's relatively new to the field. God bless them. Sometimes they get people healed and they're amazing, and I was one of them. And then you kind of go out of the gut and you start to mold and you do Lyme and you do this and you do this. And then eventually, if we do this long enough, we realize none of it is going to work unless we do central nervous system. So I think more advanced clinicians, people who are doing this for longer, understand that you have to start there first.
Yeah.
So, you inadvertently stumbled upon this, but the gluten thing would not have worked, to your point, if it was not this.
I believe that to be true, and there isn't one right way to the nervous system healing. There are a lot of things out there. I like simplicity, like heart math stuff, right?
Tell us. So tell us about the healing. Like, I come to you, I'm not well. What are we doing first?
Yeah. Well, we're doing a big, long history intake just like this, right? I mean, I want to know everything. I want to know everything about you and where you grew up and how you live and so forth. And I want to know everything that's bothering you and what your symptoms are and where you're living, what your environment's like. Do you have support? Are you connected? Are you in community? I mean, it's a huge 12-page intake form. And then the lab test is actually not even as important as the other stuff.
Agreed.
I mean, it really is secondary. I mean, we can just start with a basic chem panel. We don't need the fancy stuff. And if you've had tests like a Lyme disease and blood tests, it doesn't even matter. We just don't even really pay attention to that.
Agreed.
So, everybody presents a little bit differently, but I have to tell you, and we're seeing most of the people I see are women, because 80% of the autoimmune issue are women. And most people have had a lot of stress in their life. It's ongoing stress currently, plus the trauma from childhood. So that needs to be dealt with, and different people are ready to address those things at different times. Sometimes they are a little more adverse to sitting and meditating, because sometimes it may be very, very difficult.
Very hard at first. Very hard.
Very, very hard. And so they might need something that is a little bit more active, if you will, like a walking meditation. Or a Muse headband, where you can actually, and I love this, you can wear a headband and it's going to provide neurofeedback, and it's connected to your head, and you've got a little device, and if you are thinking and your thoughts are stressful, you're going to get the sound of crashing waves. But if you're peaceful and calm and everything comes down, you get the sound of birds chirping. So you get that immediate feedback to know, hey, I can control this with my brain. If I think happy,
I love that. I saw that, but I didn't think about. Okay, I love it.
Yeah. MUSE, cool device. And so I was all about, getting the birds and minimizing the crashing waves. And then there's another device that HeartMath provides, and I'm a licensed HeartMath provider, a mentor, and it's another super, super easy device. Interconnection. You clip it to your ear, you have a little tiny device, you can use your phone, and it's actually paying attention to your different brain waves and your heart rhythm. Are you in coherence or out of coherence? And it's going to give you red, yellow, or green. And I like simplicity. And if I'm red, that means I got a lot of stress. But when I start hearing those nice tones and I get the green, I know that my heart and my brain, everything is coherent. And that's the parasympathetic healing state.
Yeah.
So those two little devices, they're a couple $100.
Yeah.
But I am telling you, the HeartMath M-Wave device helped me overcome my fear of flying, and it helped me stay in a coherent state. Like, I use this at the beginning of my meditations in the morning so that I get myself into that calm place where I am, in that coherent, calm, ready for the day, ready to meditate space.
I love this so much because we all think we're maybe in a calm state, but there's nothing like being able to see it and that immediate biofeedback and be like, okay, let me bring it down to green. Because we could also lie to ourselves like, no, I'm calm. I'm calm. I'm calm. I'm so calm right now. And like, Red says, no, man, you're lying to yourself, right? So like, I think it's really helpful. Or I imagine if you're in the nowhere where you're like, I think I'm there. And you're like, you're not there.
Mm-mm.
I love that so much. So, and oh my God, so many questions. I want to know about the flight thing, how you did that with flight. But before the flight, so how often do you tell your patients to wear? Like as often as possible, once a day? Like what's the move?
Twice a day would be ideal. As often as they think about it, if they need it more often than that, great. But when they wake up in the morning, I think is an ideal time to set yourself the tone for the day, to get yourself in that coherent, chill, I can do anything kind of mode. And then right before you go to sleep.
Love this.
Like, let your brain settle, give yourself a chance to get off to the best possible night's sleep. So I think of it as bookends for the day. That's what I do.
I love this.
Yeah.
Now tell me about how you did it for your flight.
Okay. Well, it was as simple as deciding, because after 9/11, I became terrified of turbulence. Whatever reason.
Makes sense.
Probably a control freak.
No, I can't imagine.
So I don't land.
One control freak recognizes another. Okay.
Yes. So anyway, I needed to do something about that because I need to fly. And I found that taking my little HeartMath device with me on the plane and clipping it onto my ear and just doing my deep breathing and getting myself centered and breathing in and out of my heart while thinking about people I love, a place that I love that is beautiful and calming, I could start generating those positive brain waves while the plane is doing this. And if I can do that while the plane is doing this, that's the equanimity that we're searching for.
That's
like heavens. We are going to be tossed around on this planet.
Yeah.
Our ability to stay and to not get knocked over and run over is it's a skill, but we can all learn it, because I did not come out knowing how to do this.
I love it.
That's something that I had to will have to for the rest of my life do.
And that connection you made, I would say, is like at the heart of neuroplasticity. You created new brain connections with turbulence and something good. That is the neuroplasticity. Like, it's not enough to avoid something, but to take the thing that causes generally adverse reaction and now to find calm in it. Yes. That's new. That's rewiring the brain.
Yeah.
That's not just woo. That is actual like physical brain changes you just made.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. And now I should bring it to the dentist with me instead of my Xanax, I'm thinking.
Yeah, you could do that and ask them for nitrous oxide too. That helps.
Oh my goodness. That is amazing. Okay, so I'm your patient. I have my Muse or my HeartMath.
Yeah.
Imagine, am I on that for a while before we do other things, or do we do things concurrently?
We do things concurrently. So I have the privilege of collaborating with a really super smart naturopathic doctor. And so together we see people. I see people twice a month and she jumps on with me once a month.
Mm-hmm.
And we do the full intake and get everybody's history and what's important to them and what's been going on. And, we try to do an intelligent assessment as to, what the big root causes are. And one of the things that we're seeing that is at the tippy top of people being stuck and sick is mold.
Oh, so
It is so immunosuppressive. And and it's a tough one because it's really difficult to deal with. It's expensive. It's time consuming. Nobody wants to deal with it. And yet you have to. You can't have your head in the sand about this one. So we help them figure out, what order to do things in. What kind of home test do you get? Simple dust test can be a great way to start. And then, while they're doing that kind of stuff, we might start them on a gentle gut healing protocol. A lot of people are dealing with yeast overgrowth and parasites. And so we typically start with gut healing. So the beauty about this program that I've created is that it has both the naturopathic doctor who's got this background in environmental medicine, having practiced in Maine for a long time. She has a background with Lyme disease as well. So she's helping to resolve those external, the parasites, and internal, the parasites, the yeast, the Lyme disease, and so forth. And then I'm helping them on the coaching side with all of the lifestyle factors and the mindset and the sleep and the stress reduction and what kind of trauma-informed approaches. I'm not a trauma expert, but I help connect people with people that can help them. So it's a holistic program. It's for somebody who is really ready for transformation.
Oof, I love that so much. So would you say your classic avatar or patient is female? Midlife? 40s? 50s?
Yes. I would say 47.
47. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
She's done taking care of one part of her family. They're a little bit older. And she's finally noticing the things that are falling apart and is finally willing to spend some time and money on herself.
Yes.
Yes, dear listener, I'm talking to you. It's time for you to take care of yourself. And stop ignoring it. And she's also probably experiencing some hormonal issues, which is exacerbating everything.
Yeah.
And maybe she's already hormones and she's still not feeling better because that's just part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And sometimes I have to give her permission to take care of herself first because she's got in the sandwich kind of situation where she's still taking care of everything in the household and her aging parents who are not aging all that gracefully. And she's got to put herself first. She's got to stop cooking separate meals for separate people in the house.
Oh, say it louder for the mamas in the back. Everybody can eat your chicken. It's going to be fine. They don't have to have a separate meal. Everyone's going to be fine. Oh my God. That is... I can't. When I used to take on patients, that was like I have to cook 2 dinners. I'm like, oh my God, this is not, your family can't eat. Like they can go. It's all right. They can go outside for pizza. Like that was. I can't believe you just said that. I didn't realize what a PTSD I have. It was that enough room for my patients. I was like, oh, I didn't mean to create more work for you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy. And the ones who didn't make it were the ones who had no family support. Because if they're going home and contending and they're like, well, we want this and we want that, then there's only so much you could do. Right. Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, it does. It takes a lot, It takes determination, commitment, and if you don't have the support at home, then you're going to need to get some support and be willing to ask for help in the form of, I don't know who it is, a family member or friend who can help. But after a while, I'm telling you, within the first 30 to 60 days, typically, of embracing an autoimmune paleo food plan, which is what we have people start out with, we see their inflammation subside. Their energy goes up. We've had people that were bedridden who can now have the energy to start cooking for themselves and their families.
Yeah, this is interesting, the fatigue piece, because it's hard for people to imagine that their fatigue is really a sign of inflammation. Like if you're bedridden, so tired, I can't exercise. Everybody wants me to exercise. I can't exercise. Of course you can't exercise. You're exhausted. But that is actually a flare. That fatigue is a flare. Some people don't have a stomach pain. Some people don't have a skin issue. They will just be wiped out. And they're eating all day. And so they're just wiped out all day, not recognizing, because it's not like waxing and waning. So it's not recognizing, like it's kind of post-meal, but if you're eating all day, it's like that all the time. So fatigue is an autoimmune flare-up, or a flare-up. I mean, you may not have autoimmune, but it's a flare of your issues. And getting that energy back is really big, because you can't do all of the other things without the energy.
Yeah. Do you need those mitochondria to be switched on?
Yeah.
And in your favor. I mean, we can do things on fumes for a certain period of time, and cortisol will go up until it flatlines.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's why some people are addicted to stressors in a way, because they get that epinephrine, they get that jolt that gets them going, right? Because they miss that when they're so fatigued and they don't have the energy. So to recognize that, I was addicted to cortisol for a period of time.
Yes. Oh my God, me too. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm still addicted to cortisol. I have to think about that.
Yeah, and maybe it's really helpful to know that there are others of us out there, and I'm recovering.
I'm recovering, but I don't think I'm recovered. But I'm recovering. I'm definitely better than I used to be, and I've learned to identify when it's time to self-regulate, and can self-regulate. Whereas before I was just stayed dysregulated, didn't know about it. And so, and that's a work of progress. That's the other thing people need to hear, that this doesn't happen overnight. This takes a long time, and you'll be really bad at it at first. You said something really important. Like for me, until this day, I really have a hard time sitting and meditating. And I thought that was the only way to do it. And then one day somebody sent me a meditation playlist, and I don't know what prompted me to just listen to it while I was like in my kitchen making coffee. And I realized
that's funny. Sorry.
Making coffee? Oh, because it's coffee? Yeah. Okay, coffee is life, and I will die on that hill. I'm not coming off my coffee. I'm using it as a neurotropic. I'm loving it. And when I used to see patients, I'm like, I won't touch your coffee, don't worry. But I didn't see the irony that's good at those moments, so thank you. So anyway, I started incorporated it into my morning routine, and it changed the routine. It was a calming. I also started working out to it, like especially not cardio, but like if I'm lifting, which is like really just you and just yourself, and you can really. So I started doing it when I'm lifting, and I started realizing that you can be in this space without having to sit cross-legged and wearing all white and incense burning, right?
Yes.
And there's all different ways to meditate, and in a way that has helped me, because if I find myself at work or in something, I can also bring myself there, because I know how to do it now without being in a specific space. So I really like that you mentioned that. That was really important, because for years I was like, I'm just never going to meditate. It's just not for me, and that's not true. It's just that way was not for me.
Yeah. I feel drawn to share something about this. Washing the dishes can be meditative.
Okay. Yeah.
So what I just want to say about this is it's just a matter of being present. In fact, I think training meditation with your eyes closed is not to like train yourself for how to be present during your life, because most of the time you're not going through life with your eyes closed.
Ooh, I like that point.
So I like the idea of, and this is more mindfulness, and this is where just being present with whatever you're doing is meditative, is calming, to just do the dishes when you're doing the dishes.
That's the thing.
That's the thing.
Is when you're doing the dishes.
Just lift the weights.
Just lift the weight. Don't think about the work, and just lift the weight.
Just drink that coffee.
Yeah. Oh, I drink that coffee in my red light
coffee
with my red light therapy every morning.
Oh my God, that sounds so good. Yeah. Yeah, just do the thing. And that's the holy grail, I think, is just being able to be present without the monkey mind going of, I should be doing something else. I am not doing that. I've got 7 things on my list. You're shooting all over yourself again.
It's so crazy.
It's crazy. And if we can be present, I think that is the path to calm aliveness.
Yeah. Present gratitude. I know it sounds so cliche, but gratitude for like the most basic things, like running water, plumbing. Like how many people in the world don't have that? It's just like this morning. I'm glad we're talking about this because it's really the small moments. This moment, something happened, and I got somewhere, and I realized I had my wife's computer, and then I had to go back, and it was like a waste of 40 minutes, and I was like, wow, what a waste of 40 minutes. And then I was like, oh my God, that was so not a waste of 40 minutes. Because something else had happened. I was like, first, that was a conversation that needed to happen, and second, I'm pretty sure I will never mistake my wife's computer again. And there was probably some other time that I would not be able to just turn around and come back. But now that this happened once, I imagine, so like there was a reason for this learning. And so like even reframing like these moments is so important. And I'm like, because next time, what if I got on a plane, I wouldn't be able to go back.
So the surface, I have to pay attention, put a sticker on it. Like, so there's ways to reframe even these moments where you're like, this was a terrible moment. You have to reframe it because that is how you bring it. And that is healing. That is part of healing.
That is so healing. And how do we know it's a terrible moment at the moment, right? Sometimes in hindsight, and this is going to sound so cliche.
I love it. Go.
But I mean, people talk about the gift in the illness. And in a million years, when I was lying on the couch with the MS and terrified out of my mind, I was not thinking, thank you for this. Thank you so much. I really wanted to be, I really didn't want to feel my body, and I wanted to be taken care of by my parents for the rest of my life. No, I was not thinking about gravity. But with the benefit of hindsight, we have an opportunity to see that, oh my goodness, this was just messages from my body that I needed to pay attention to, that got me on the path, that got me starting to do yoga, that got me to start to meditate as much as I hated it, but I continue to do it every day, that got me on this path, and I've never looked back. I will tell you the joy and privilege to work with people who, have been hopeless, who have been rejected by doctors and told there's nothing you can do, there's no cure. Just take the medication. That's it. To provide, just a different perspective.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing exactly what I should be doing.
Of course you are. By the way, if no one's told you, your voice is so calming. I'm like in a trance when you talk. Oh, wow. Just so you know.
Okay.
I'm like, as you're talking, I'm like feeling calmer.
You're getting sleepy.
I'm getting sleepy. So, but not in a bored way, in a relaxed way.
Okay.
I don't know if I ever told you that, but so you're already healing me now in this podcast.
We'll do some meditation. I love that. Meditation work.
I love this. Okay, what is something you want to tell our audience before, of course, we tell them how to work with you? But what do you want to tell our shared listeners today?
That hope is real. Healing is possible. And I want you to get quiet, and I want you to close your eyes if that feels good, and to ask yourself the question that I was asked back in 1984. Why do you think you got the fill in the blank? And if you don't have an autoimmune disorder, what in your life could use better balance?
I love that.
And just sit and allow whatever it is to percolate up. Don't push it. Don't look for it. Just allow it to emerge when it's supposed to come up. And pursue that.
Love that so much. Oh my goodness. Palmer. Where can everyone reach you?
So my website is palmerkippola.com. I got lots of free stuff, articles, healing stories. I've got a podcast called Beat Autoimmune and Thrive. So tune into that wherever you get your podcasts. I have a gift for your listeners.
Aww.
If you go to palmerkippola.com/gift, you will be led to an optimal food guide, because this, my friends, is the food plan that I followed when I reversed the MS, and I teach you, how to find your optimal foods. So palmerkippola.com/gift, and it's 12-page ebook on how to heal with food.
I love that. Palmer Kippola, thank you so much for being here with us today.
It was an absolute joy, Dr. E. Thank you so much for inviting me. I loved it.
I loved it too. I'm so calm. I'm ready to relax.
All right. Here's to a relaxed and fantastic day.
Thank you. You too.
Be well.
You too.
That's a wrap for today's episode of The Medical Disruptor. If this lit a fire in you, amazing. You're supposed to get agitated. That means you're waking up. Share it with a fellow disruptor. Post it, tag it, text it. This is how we blow the lid off a broken system, one person at a time. If you're ready to show the world that you're a medical disruptor, well, there's merch that you can wear, and it's on my site. Show the world that you're not here to play along. You're here to shake things up. It's all on drafratlamandre.com. This is The Medical Disruptor, and we're not done. Keep questioning, keep pushing, and above all, keep disrupting.